Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Sophia. I organize Spectrum events for you, bringing the community together through learning at Spectrum. So for those of you who are new to Spectrum, we are located at Duo Tower. So aside from providing event spaces, we offer curated workspaces for the community experience. We connect members and the resources needed to expand businesses. So very privileged today to have two gentlemen with us from Agape Connecting People. So in Greek, Agape means unconditional love. Agape was set up by Anil in 2012 to provide a second chance, not just for himself, but those whom others dared not take chances on. So I start with the founder, Anil David. He is also the business development director at Agape. So he has a wealth of sales experience under his belt. He's also the chief evangelist for Agape, ensuring that the brand name is always on customers' radar. Next, I have Joseph C., the CEO of Agape. He has over 25 years of leadership experience in sales and service operations across telecommunications and banking sectors. Joseph has won several Contact Center Association of Singapore awards. He joined Agape in 2018 to pursue his calling for community transformation. So without further ado, hand it over to Joseph, please. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to welcome you to this webinar. I'd like to thank Spectrum, Sophia, and the entire team for having us here today. We were really looking forward to this event because we wanted to share the whole story of Agape. The title today, the ROI of investing in lives, is very apt because often people do not see this as, they will see social enterprises as charities. But I think for us, we believe that it is possible to have a balance between sustainable growth as well as creating the impact for our people. For myself, I'm Joseph from Agape. I joined Agape in 2018. Having done time in the corporate space, at some point in life in 2017, I decided that I wanted to move on and do something that I felt was very meaningful. And this is where I joined Anil. Anil is a good friend of mine. Friendship grew during this period. And I think what has come out between both of us in terms of teamwork is marvelous. This is a spiritual journey that Anil often say. Anil, you want to say something first before we start?
You're doing good. I'll join in a while.
Okay, I think without further ado, I think perhaps I like to set the context of this discussion or this sharing by playing this video that happened sometime during National Day last year, where Anil was featured as part of a Singaporean story. What was enlightening for me was because an ex-offender has been featured in this video. And I think at the national level, this was something very touching, and I'm very appreciative because it shows acceptance. It shows about providing an equal opportunity for every Singaporean, even for those in disadvantaged circumstances. Sophia, if you could, perhaps we could play this video now.
Sorry, Joseph, I'll play
the
first video. So for audience, if you have any questions during the presentation and the video, please feel free to post them here, okay? Just a second while I share the video again.
Right.
This is the correct video, yeah?
Yeah, this is.
Okay.
Sophia, this is the sound seems, yeah, the sound seems to be the other one. Yeah.
Is it better?
No, this is the sound is from the second video. The image was from the first.
Okay, let me
Because
just.
we are still sure, no problem. Maybe in the meantime, perhaps we can talk a little bit more about Agape. For Agape, we are a business process outsourcing provider. We actually provide contact center solutions in Singapore, and we have up to 250 contact center seats located across the island. What is unique about Agape is because we run contact centers in the prisons, both in the men's prison and in the women's prison. And we also have a contact center in the Tai Seng office where we embrace ex-offenders. So the target group of people that we are targeting will be people from disadvantaged background. This would be people like the inmates, the ex-offenders, single mothers, as well as physically challenged. Because in one of our values, we believe that the best way to rise is by lifting other people. And the tone and the posture of Agape is moving from one that is not self-centered, but one that is other-centered. And we believe that by empowering them with work, this will actually help them to lift themselves up and provide a sustainable community transformation. Sophia, how are we doing so far?
We're good, fantastic. Let me know when you're ready to do the video.
Yeah. Okay, when you're ready, then I'll stop talking.
Okay, let me try sharing this again, yeah?
Sure, no worries.
Are we ready now for the video? Okay.
Yeah.
Great, so.
Great.
The day the judge announced that I'm going to be sentenced for a long period of years, and I thought that was the end of my life. It's like a death sentence. As it is, my life was really like a toilet bowl. And with a prison conviction, it's not going to get any better. And there was a time that I thought, should I just end my life at this point of time? There was total silence from my family because I knew that they didn't want to have anything to do with me. And then there was this officer I was sitting down with him and he was talking to me and he understood the struggles I was going through. He made arrangements for an open visit where I could actually meet my family, my daughter especially. I remember that Monday morning, I could hold her hand and just say, will you forgive me? And that brought reconciliation to the family. And that carried me through all these years, even to now. It didn't happen overnight. I had to work long hours and to re-establish this trust that I had broken. The groups of people that I've been impacting, ex-convicts, some even serving prison sentence, single moms, physically disabled people, I don't see their disability, but I see their ability. And the officer that helped me during those difficult times, today, we are good friends, and he's one of those that is actually working with me together.
Okay, Sophia, thank you very much for sharing the video. Anil, every time when I see that video, it stirs in me because all the things that we are doing right here, if I were to put it into one sentence, is really about how can we restore the individual and reconcile the family. And this is really something that is so important for both of us. And I think this keeps us going every day. Now, for that, at this point, I'd like to bring on a deck of slides that we have prepared, a simple deck of slides that will probably tell you or give you a better understanding of what we do in Agape. Sophia, if you could. Okay, the topic today is the ROI of in the ROI in terms of investing in lives. Now, exactly who we are, as we shared earlier, we are a leading business process provider, and we believe that one of the good way, in fact, one of the sustainable way where we can impact and create community transformation is when we provide equal reskilling and employment opportunities. Now, in the environment today where everyone is trying to establish what is the new normal, perhaps there is one group of people that becomes even more important for us now, which are the people from the disadvantaged background. These are the inmates, the ex-offenders, the physically challenged, and the single mothers. And for Agape, we are looking and targeting this special group so that they can be given equal reskilling and employment opportunities. At the end of the day, we believe that the best place and the best time to lift up a person is when we can empower them with employment and employability skills that can lift them up out of that poverty cycle that they have been struggling to get out of. I think it's very common that when we go into the prisons and we speak to the inmate, some of them they will tell you that it is okay for me to do time in prison because my father also did time in prison. My grandfather also did time in prison. So did my cousins. They are in the opposite ward. And you also have children who are left at home being looked after probably by the grandparents, and they are not given or not privileged to be brought up in an environment that is values based. And sometimes, unfortunately, it brings them to where they are today. And what Agape is trying to do is, more importantly, creating that environment for them to thrive and for them to know that there's actually someone who cares enough for them to see them being able to stand up on their feet, to see them that we don't use a pair of judgment eyes where the world is really about, can you do this? If not, I can find somebody else better to do that. Please deliver me the commercials, things like that. But for us, the key word is about the patient's capital that we employ so that this group can be lifted up. Next slide, please. For us to create the environment, we believe that the core values that we embrace is very critical, that shapes the whole place. The core values, the 6 core values will respond to the acronym ASPIRE, ASPIRE. These are familiar acronyms that we see in the marketplace, but for them, these are probably words that they feel very uncomfortable about. They feel shy or shameful that they either may not understand or may not have an opportunity to live up to it. Because we are in the contact center business as a BPO, this is where we are training them to be contact center professionals. Communication skills, learning how to speak, learning how to ask questions, learning how to listen, things that we often, in the civilian space, we often take that as a given skills. But for some of these people, they struggle. And because they struggle to listen, because they struggle to communicate clearly, sometimes this is one of the contributing factors to the relationships that they have at home. For a simple thing like professionalism, I think the critical thing is about starting by having the right attitude about life, about the person. Now, there are other things like selflessness, where we are teaching them how you can don't just focus on yourself, focus on the other people. When you focus on yourself, you probably will experience maybe being happy, but when you start to focus on the other people, you probably can experience joy that money cannot buy back. It is a reward that we believe that will be long lasting. Now, in a contact center environment, when you tell a customer that tomorrow I'm going to call you back at 4 p.m., and when you do that, that is really about having that professionalism and accountability. We are watering down these values to something that they can understand. In their past life, if you ask them, where can you get $50,000 in one day? They know where to go, but they know they cannot sleep peacefully at night. So when we talk about integrity, we are talking about doing what is right and not doing what is easy. And the best way to earn respect is when you earn it. It is only given when you earn it. So these are little things, nuggets of values that we try to validate this through the work that they do. The next slide, please. What we do is really about the whole BPO contact center. We also do human resource placement into clients' premises. And also we help clients with their communication as well as technology in the contact center environment. So typically in the contact center, the services that we do will be those of the call center. And because e-commerce is coming up, there are a lot of work that we are doing around doing emails handling as well as live chat. Because in e-commerce, before the sale and after the sale, there will always be queries from customer on how to get that whole end-to-end transaction right. Next slide. In terms of the number of lives impact, when we started tracing from 2015, cumulatively at the end of 2019, we have about 529. You notice in 2019, we start to introduce red icons, red female icons. That's where we open the Women's Contact Center in Changi. Right now, we have close to about 40 to 60 of them doing the contact center work. For us, really, in 2020, this figure now would have already exceeded the 600 figure. But our real goal, honestly, is to hit that 1,000 lives cumulatively by 2022 or even 2021 if we can achieve this. It is always mentioned that it takes a village to raise a child. And this is where we embrace partnerships, both the government, the non-government, as well as even the various charity groups where we can work together with them so that at no point Agape believes that we can do this by ourselves. It's always about how can we connect and how can we collaborate so that we can lift up these lives. Now, the impact is always measured in terms of how long they stay with us in a job, typically between 1 to 2 years, and what kind of salaries can they earn when they leave the place and go into the corporate space, and how long do they stay in the job. These are some of the matrices that we are being measured on. Anil and myself, we obviously report to a board, but the board gives us two matrices. One is on profitability, which is because we want to be sustainable. Agape is not a charity. So that is one part. The second part is about the number of lives that we can impact. And that is also in our KPI per se. So for us, we managed to do these two things. And over time, the learnings would be, it is possible to achieve this with the right people, with the right environment. The next slide, please. Now, Agape connecting people, the verb here is about connecting. But I think for us in Agape, we believe that the connecting has to move towards collaborating, and collaborating has more outcomes. And what has happened for us in the last few months where COVID-19 lands on all of us was we saw ourselves collaborating with more people. Now, because Agape is a contact center, we managed to work with another social enterprise, Spick and Span, that was providing this proprietary sanitization service across the island. what they did was they tap on Agape's lead generation capabilities so that the places around Singapore can be sanitized. And this partnership has actually worked very well. And there were also more places that were sanitized as a result of this collaboration. Ministry of Social and Family Development also came to us during COVID in late March and asked Agape if we could set up a 24 hours national care hotline. And typically when clients come to us, it takes us about 1.5 months to 2 months to set up a hotline because there are network, technical stuff, technology, manpower deployment training at the back that we needed to do. But we were actually given 10 days to do this. And interestingly, we managed to do everything together with the help of MSF and various partners. This is the first for us to set up something in 10 days, but we understood that this national care hotline is to provide emotional support for Singaporeans. And we were going all out to set this up. What is also interesting is at the back, while Agape's role is to provide first level triage for this emotional support, we were also managing a group of between 500 to 700 mental health specialists who could provide the more detailed counseling and aftercare. And this has really worked, and we have probably answered more than 20,000+ calls. And I think this is mentioned in the news. And we are happy that we could play the part of a listening ear. And some of these agents were also from the ex-offending background. And it's really heartening to see how a person who is trying to rise is now doing a work that is other-centered to provide that emotional support. So it was really heartening to see this. Next slide, please. For us, we also managed to do time to give back to the community. We, together with our partners, we provided close to 150,000, if not more, hot meals to migrant workers who needed this in terms of basic necessities, hot food. And there were also nursing homes that came to us where we provided care packs for close to 240 of their bedridden aged folks. I think this was something that we thought we were proud of, and we were happy that the team was able to participate in this. As we were trying to help ourselves, it didn't stop us from focusing to help the other people. Next slide. So this is our contact, and if you like to partner us or speak to us, this is our contact. Incidentally, we are also a DVS Foundation grant awardee, where I will speak more after this. I think that's all from this deck of slides. Let's bring back the image. Anil, perhaps I've said quite a bit. Maybe you'd like to share from your end. Yeah.
The first thing that comes to people's mind is that will a professional company outfit what to trust as requirements in terms of delivering its service outcome to a company like Agape, and especially knowing that a large force of its team members are probably single moms, senior citizens, or even ex-offenders. This is probably one of the questions that actually kind of in the back of our mind, can they deliver? Well, we've been in the business for the last 9 years, and I think today we can safely say with the kind of clients and the wide spectrum of clients that we serve, they are a testimony that not only we are able to deliver outcomes and productivity, but I think that what we have done in our journey map of Agape, we've transformed our staff over here when they go on the call for whatever responsibilities they have to do. It's no longer a transactional call. We have incorporated a value system into each of the agents that we call these a relational conversation. So when you speak to someone, bear in mind that you have a responsibility to develop or make an attempt to build a relationship, so that we need to move away. It's just like you're just not here to sell something or do something and forget about it. But in the process of managing a call that is transactional, what happens here is that their own life skills is being enriched, so that we don't, behind everything that we do, there is a reason behind it. For example, we like to put our agents in the first where they will be handling about 100 calls, making calls outside, and they get 90% of rejected outcomes. But we tell our team back in the prison as well, do you not know that you're actually building resilience? You're learning to accept as it is, because when you come out from prison, it's not going to be an easy road. It builds resilience. And some of the people, in fact, most of the people are already in prison. Probably they have, they're not active listeners, but in the spectrum of the work that we do, active listening, problem solving, these are all life skills that they apply day in, day out in the call center. And by the time they are out, they can apply the very things that they've been exercising for the last couple of years. Joseph?
Yeah, so it's interesting that we talk about how we are repurposing this group of people. Earlier on, I was telling the everyone that we are a DBS Foundation grant awardee. Now, for us, after we manage to the clientele that we have comes across telcos, healthcare, government sectors, energy, logistics, e-commerce, content. These are the clienteles that we have right now. And earlier on, we mentioned about this whole mission statement about how we can provide equal reskilling. And this is where we apply ourselves to be an accredited training organization through SSG. This will allow us to do certified skills for these people. The reason being is because we believe that only through skills that they can lift themselves up and increase their employability. SSG recently came out with this set of 16 critical core skills, and they have grouped them into how you can think critically, how do you interact with other people, and how do you stay relevant. And in it, for example, think critically, there'll be things like problem solving, decision making, creative thinking, and we are also layering in with design thinking as part of how do you make human-centric connections. The role of emotional intelligence in this whole space, especially now with COVID-19, where people are now working very differently, or even things like how do you interact with other people, the whole notion of how do you collaborate, how do you influence, how do you then have this whole customer orientation, and how do you build inclusivity. And of course, we are teaching them we say that don't give them fish, but teach them how to fish. And in it, there's also this element of how do you stay relevant? And staying relevant will be things like the whole digital savviness, or what they call now the digital fluency. How do you adapt, and how do you have this mindset of lifelong learning? And we are very happy that DBS Foundation is helping us with a grant so that we can also set up a training outfit to train these people so that they can increase their chances of being employed. And we're not just talking about training for the sake of training, but training skills that are relevant in the marketplace, training in a framework that is consistent with what the Singapore environment guided by SSG requires. So this is very important for us. And we believe that this whole notion of learning is so critical, regardless of whether you are a PMET, whether you're a business owner, and especially so if you are someone that come from a disadvantaged background, such as the ones that we mentioned, people with offending background, single mothers, and also physically challenged people. Sad to say right now, while there's improvement, 3 out of 10 disabled people are actually employed. But what about the remaining 7 out of the 10? So these are the areas that we are moving in, working along with people like SPD, even with E2I. These are some of the agencies that we are working very closely with, halfway houses, where can we bless and empower these people with these skill sets. We have never promised them that this journey is going to be easy. The impact or the ROI can be seen in 3 areas. Number one, to that specific individual, because we are not advocating for a second chance. We are advocating for equal chance for these people. Now, when the lives gets transformed, we know that the direct beneficiary is actually the family. And when the family can experience this, then we are saying that if we believe that the most important building block of society is the family, then this is the right track. So the individual, the family. And and Anil, I think we have attended even weddings of ex-offenders who will reconcile with the family, moving on in their life, being able to secure now a job, able to to sleep peacefully at night because they know that they have earned the salary through rightful means, through the skills that we have empowered. Anil, I remember the last time we attended the wedding of one of our staff. It was at the void deck. And the parents came up to us, holding our hands and saying, "Thank you so much for what you have done for my daughter." And for me, that was the best ROI, because I now see families picking them up and being able to accept their child and seeing them getting married. And I'm telling that staff of mine is, don't wait too long to have children. And she was laughing about it. She told me, "You know what, Joseph, I need to earn my salary, have a flat and all that." I say, if you just keep improving yourselves, taking on that lifelong journey, I think this will help you to get yourself back on your feet. We have never asked them why they do time in prison, because that's no longer important for us. But it is about what is it that you can do now, that you can start writing that resume, so that when you come out, where do you see yourselves? Anil, you want to share the stories?
You know, some years ago when we were running in the men's prisons call center, there was a guy that I was doing my rounds there. So I just strike a conversation with him, and I've asked him this question: "How's your family?" So his natural response is that, "Well, they have not been seeing me for a few years." I say, "What happened?" So I've been in and out too many times, and they've given up hope on me. Okay. And I ask him a further probing question: "Do you have any kids?" "Yes, I have a son who's in a secondary school, but he doesn't even want to get in touch with me." I've written to him, but there's no response. There's a total silence. Then I told him, "Why don't you write to him again?" And he said, "What do I write?" I say, "Well, what are you doing right now? What work are you doing?" So he says that, "I'm doing for StarHub. I'm managing customers' accounts and able to do certain things." You should write about this. Write about the work that you do, because work brings dignity. So he writes to his son and tells him, "I know that you want nothing to do with me, but I'm just writing this letter because I'm now working in a call center doing StarHub, and I know that you're in secondary school, and I need you to perhaps consider StarHub because the internet plan is cheaper. It will help you in your school." The son replies and says, "How did you know?" So you see that conversation began to start. Then the platform was work. Work is able to be a platform, and it continuously is, because one of the biggest challenges that ex-offender face, right? The family be thinking, "Oh, he's coming out again, no job." So here, this person is actually planting a future for his career and telling his family that, "Hey, I actually have a job if I'm able to continue to keep myself investing in my attitude in Agape." So the thing is, work is a powerful reconciliator of friends. So the father and son have reconciled because the father decided to talk about his work, and the son was not thinking the father is always a useless, good for nothing in and out jailbird?
We have also other examples where someone who is probably in 30 years old now have been in and out of prisons since 17, 18 years old. And I think he's tired of his in and out of prison life. And he managed, through our encouragement, managed to complete his A levels. And also over time is now currently doing his degree in SUSS. And we were so elated. Together with our partners, we managed to sponsor his course fees. And there are many other examples like this. And when we asked him, what subject are you actually pursuing in SUSS? What really warms my heart was he told us that he's going to pursue his degree in social work. And I asked him, why do you want to do this? He told me that he wanted to be like Anil. And I think for us, this was something that we were so pleased, because at no time Anil or myself ever believed that for us to grow that number from 1,000 to 2,000, it must be done through a process where things can be replicated, where more people come in to participate and be that role model. Anil cannot just be that one role model. There should be more, and there are many others. They will be when they are ready. And this is one of the ROI of seeing how values have actually changed a person, and how the lack of values can continue to put some families and even the individuals at risk of, because of not being able to put food on the table, they will look for other illegal or wrong ways of putting food on the table. But at the end of the day, is the family the most important building block of society? Yes, it is. For us, definitely. And I'm sure it is for you. We are also now moving into the space of looking at youth at risk. Because if you look at the family today, you have the inmate or the ex-offender. We also have the children. The children automatically are youth at risk, and we want to engage this group through training, and even the spouses of inmates, where we believe that if the whole family can earn sufficiently, then there is time for them to talk about things like financial literacy. How can we plan for our children? How can we plan for the future? How can I even get my first HDB flat, which for many of them, this is probably a dream that it is for somebody else. And we want to educate them and share that learning, that it is possible, that you are able to lift yourself up. I think Anil did the right thing by establishing Agape as a social enterprise and not as a charity. I think the message will be more powerful to the beneficiaries, that because we wanted to show the world that we could stand on our own feet and we do have that commercial value inside of us, drawn out through the right environment and the right opportunity, then can only you flourish and transform. And I think this is a very critical ROI message that we want to tell all our partners, even corporate people. What is heartening, I think, Anil, is during this whole COVID period, where traditionally companies will outsource their contact centers to the Philippines and India. And with all those cases of lockdown, companies are coming to us saying they need to revisit their business continuity plans. How can they build more resilience, build more diversification, and how to have some local presence, so that in future, if there's going to be something like that, how can they better better prepare themselves? In Changi Prison, perhaps you might not know, at any one time, as I'm speaking to you, there are about around 10,000 inmates serving time, and of which probably about 5 to 6,000 of these are job ready. And I think, Anil, our vision really is to move into the prisons to set up a training academy where we can bless them. Maybe Anil, you want to share more?
Training is a very important part of this whole ecosystem that we build in Agape. Why is it so important? Uh, in Agape, we have a PhD, and the lowest educated person today is actually probably has a secondary 4 education, and that's me. But that doesn't disqualify me to come this far. What happened? Training. I I had the opportunity to learn from where Google. I was hungry. I had books. I had YouTube. So all these things were components or platforms that allowed me to teach myself to come this far. And without this training component, it's so very difficult. So what we have envisaged, right, that in our training academy, towards the tail end of the inmates release, we want to journey with them into mapping out them that they will have a career once they go out, and the career should have a career progression work, not something that they do a job and day in, day out, and it's very mundane. So we are looking at various ways how we have really been talking to a lot of our own clients who are very happy and satisfied and saying that we don't mind hiring the guys that you have trained because we like your model, we like your outcome, we like most importantly the kind of attitude. So you see, there are no bad people in prison. They're just with wrong choices. So what we do is that we do three things that we want this to succeed. We give our time, our attention, and our love. You see, in any part, anything that we do, if we give these three things, right, time, attention, and love, you will find that people will change. Joseph and myself, we are not in the business of changing people, but we are definitely into investing into an environment that is like an Eden, because when the environment is good, people change because the environment is good. So we invest in environments. The training academy is just one part of it. So, it's very important that one life at a time, one person is a person. Making an effort to know them is important, and not solving their problems, but telling them how to do it. So we learn over the years. So the training academy is another platform that we strongly believe that will give them a better chance to be more gainfully employed with better jobs. For example, I remember one guy told me in the prison and said, when I come out to work, do I get a workstation? I say, yes, you do. Can I put the picture of my family there? Just a simple thing like that. Because this guy was all in his life, right, was working as a cleaner, but he begins to have a vision and visage. And with that, right, we begin to see and help him equip to get better and better so that by the time he lands into something, he has a good career road for him. And that's the important part of training.
Okay, I think perhaps we have said enough. And what I think we want to end off this whole presentation before we move into the questions and answers is perhaps to show you a video that was done recently about the National Care Hotline project that we did. This video was also shared to Minister Desmond Lee when he visited us in the call center to appreciate the agents who were running this emotional hotline for 24/7. And Sophia, if you could, I like to call out that video right now. Sophia, sorry, I think the audios are not there. Sophia, sorry, I think there's no audio. Maybe we'll stop the video for now. Yeah.
Okay, Joseph, sorry. I think you mentioned that the audio wasn't playing.
Yeah, there wasn't any audio. Maybe we can play this later, or perhaps we want to take some questions if there are. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a perfect question from Take. He's asking about the sharing of the video. Will we be sharing the video post event?
Which video again? Sorry, the NDP one.
So it's okay. I think we'll take this offline if let's
Sure.
be able to share the videos. So
Yeah.
great sharing from both yourself and Anil. There's a great vision that and mission that Agape has for the disadvantaged, single mothers, disabled, ex-offenders. But I think what if like even for me as an individual, as a family, I think the hope that we have for these group of people are, what are they going to do next? Right, that's the most important thing. And what Agape does is you have the upcoming training academy. There's a lot of vision, a lot of avenue that you can do in order to better ourselves. But I think it's also for a start, as a community, it's my responsibility to also encourage those around me to strive towards that, reaching for the stars. Nobody is not allowed to everybody is allowed to dream. So I think, can you probably share, there are some instances whereby you would have some, who come up to you and say they are not giving me enough encouragement. So how do you actually give them the motivation to move forward?
I think definitely the people that we are managing, the beneficiaries or our employees, a lot of times they come with because of what they have gone through in life. They come with a lot of emotional baggages, and often there will be things like unforgiveness, even things like not being able to forgive themselves for what they have done, not being able to forgive the other people. So we often tell them this story, and I will share that with you. We say that, remember the hot air balloon? And if you notice the hot air balloon, there'll be people sitting in the basket and they'll rise. And outside the basket, there what looks like bags of sandbag or some weight. And you realize that when they want to rise higher, they will release all these sandbags. And we often tell them that whatever baggages that you have is no different like the sandbags in that basket of the air balloon. You need to let it go, because how much conversation you're going to have about the hurt. Of course, having conversation is important, but dwelling on it, biting, not letting go, is just going to consume the person. And we teach them how should you start forgiving yourself. The first step. Don't talk about the other people first. How should you forgive yourself? So this is the emotional journey that we sometimes take through our people, with our people, so that they know that we are their family. Often they will tell you, I don't have any family left. They have all left me. We are like their family. Like for example, in the women's prison, when Anil and myself, when we go in, to the ladies, we tell them, look, and we establish that relationship. We are like your father, and you are like our daughters. And we love you, and we just want to make sure that you don't come back into prisons again. Do the right thing and learn how to forgive yourself. So these are conversations that we have with them. The important thing is about being authentic. The important thing is to show that we really care about them. Perhaps care is something that they have not experienced for a very long time, and they have probably forgot how it felt. And this is how we do it. Forgive yourself, forgive the other people. Now, in order for me to fill more goodness into a cup, the cup needs to be emptied first. All the things that you have been, all that hate, envy, frustrations, all needs to be emptied out. And we have that process when we do that with them. Anil is a fantastic motivator because he's able to tell them that I have been there, done that. If I can, you will be able to do it too. And this is the perfect combination of us being able to be authentic mentors or coaches to them about their life and about the work and about the kind of future that they want to build. Is it a very long process? Of course it is. Does it take a lot of our time? Of course it does. But we realize that apart from a place where you invest in the infrastructure, we are investing our time. That's where he talked about time, attention, and love. We are investing our time. And what is very important for us is this word called patience capital. And because we have seen using patience capital, we are getting the returns of lives being transformed. Anil?
I mean, Joseph had just shared quite a bit of it. The, for an ex-offender that works with us, right, we all play different roles. What do I tell an ex-offender to get the person into the marketplace? I speak to them honestly. I say, look, you are coming back into the marketplace. You have a record and you're up against people who don't have. What do you need to do? You need to work 10 times harder. You need to be early in the office. You need to be the last one out. You need to invest in all these things, right? That you're able to move up because you're up against a group of people who have not done anything wrong. So hard work is very important. You know, attitude, we tell them that, look, the only reason why I'm here so far is because people were willing to invest in my attitude. That's an unbankable commodity. That's a bankable commodity, sorry. That anywhere you go, attitude will rise, will shine, and bring you to places. So we keep it simple and telling them that it's not going to be an easy road, but you need to get this right, that you got to work 10 times harder. You got to spend more hours than you have it, can imagine, just to get into the level playing field. People will give you chance because people will look out for the attitude, not your record. I'm a good example of that. People did not look and do not look at my record, my failures, but they look at my attitude that, hey, this guy's attitude is consistent. And therefore, that attracts clients, attracts people, attracts investors, and the whole ecosystem builds on this attitude.
Amazing. Okay, so I like this question as well, which is on my mind from an anonymous audience. What do you think can be done to change society's mindset and make it more accepting of ex-offenders?
Joseph?
Okay. Definitely a lot more. But where we are today is definitely a vast improvement of where we used to be. The government has fired their first shot in terms of featuring an ex-offender in a National Day Parade live show. And it is setting the tone about how we should be an inclusive society. But definitely this is not the job, or we cannot say this is a government's issue and we just follow the government. Often we say that there is a change of mindset that's needed, but if you want to change, you want to raise a child, you need the entire village. So it starts from people like you, me, people in the audience, people around us, because that change, it is important. So that, last time we used to have this question, I want to hire the locals, but where are the locals? I don't seem to be able to find them. And I often say there are about 10,000 in Changi prison. They are your locals, contextualized, localized to the environment, and there they are. But are they given an equal opportunity? No. But there's a lot that SCORE Yellow Ribbon is doing. There's a lot at the back in terms of getting employers on board. There are also grants that are given by government agencies like RACE, where if you embrace a ex-offender into your workspace, there are grants that provides salary subsidies. But I think the important thing here is about how can an organization like Agape and everyone else, even like 18 chefs and all that, they also embrace sex offenders, work together with the government and the non-government agencies to come together uh, to do things, because a lot of the efforts are all quite separate, but we need to come together. And it starts with having that first step of saying that I'm willing to accept one. So there needs to be a collaboration. More can be done. A lot has been done, but more can be done. And the key here is about collaborating. Now, the work that we do in Agape, if I were to summarize it in a sentence, we are basically helping an inmate who's now an ex-offender acclimatize to become civilians. And I think the same needs to be done to help employers how to acclimatize to be accepting and increase their definition of I'm an inclusive employer, inclusive hiring employer, to include ex-offenders. But often we say that some employers will say that I want to, but I do not know how to. And I think there needs to be this education on how do you manage an ex-offender in your workplace. I think that part is an opportunity in terms of learning, because once you know how to, then perhaps the whole environment, the policies can be changed to make the hiring more inclusive. This is how I see it. Anil?
What can we do a lot more? Every now and then we read in the newspapers or in the online social media, and the kind of mud that is thrown to the Singapore prisons about this and that. I stand to be, I have a different thought process here. I'm a beneficiary of the prison system. This is no longer the old prison where things are done with the arm and fist. This is a new prison where officers actually do give three things: time, attention, and love. They actually make it their own internal vision, right, to actually journey with an ex-offender. And this is very real. These are the stories that we don't hear. We hear all the mud that throws of it. Singapore prison is not a client of Agape. Singapore Prison is a partner with Agape with the same common vision, and that is, to ensure the ex-offenders succeed. The prison of Singapore has evolved with Yellow Ribbon and all that. We work as partners for the common reason that an ex-offender doesn't come back. So, contrary to what we hear, all the negative that tone is that I don't think that is that, because I've seen it and I'm going regularly. They do things that you can't even imagine. And they're really seriously very concerned on how and what can we do more to help them to get their attitude right, that don't come back. And very importantly, they reconcile with the families. We don't hear the good things. And I nearly would have lost my family. But if it's not for the prison intervention, right, I'm telling you, could have lost my family. But you see, there are many things that's going on happening. So it is like, as Joseph mentioned, it takes a village. And we are now partners with these prisons. And for the same reason, what they believe in, unlock the second door, reconcile with family. So it's happening. It's just that we don't hear it. And how do we change the society? Because society tends to incline towards all the negative things. And hear the one little thing and everybody beats the drum and say, oh, like that, like that. Actually, when I went to the National Day platform, I actually informed prison and got their permission. Why? Because I'm a partner with them. I am a partner with them. And they say, okay, you have our blessings. So partners do this. And that is how far. So that one story at a time, that one person gives hope to many other inmates, and they begin to see that, just as the guy who's doing his degree, he said he wants to be like me. Uh, nice to hear, but at least it is inspiring people, ex-offenders. So we need people, whoever you are, wherever you are, you've done time and you did it good, come forward. Your story, your inspiration will inspire many people. That's how we change the public opinion.
It is always inspiring to hear from you, Anil. My apologies as well for the video earlier. I know there's technicalities, Murphy's Law. So what we will do post-event, I think we'll share, aside from the recording of this webinar, we'll be sharing the videos post-event as well. So before we leave, there's one last question which I hope we can address. So aside from contact center related jobs, what else do you see potential partners can collaborate on outside of contact center services? How else can partners work with Agape?
Okay, apart from contact center services and solutions that we provide both within Agape and also provide human resource into the client's premises that we are doing today, I think the other things would be the digital transformation that we can do in terms of contact center solutioning, in terms of AI, because we have that in our work. We are starting to involve ourselves in some form of AI machine learning where some of this work can be farmed out to us. And when we talk about AI, everybody would think about data scientists because that's the top of the end. But within that whole AI, there's the other 90% of the other roles that can be played. And I believe this is something that we can value add in. Agape do not believe that we can do everything ourselves. We are still learning as a company. And for us, one critical question that we ask ourselves every day is, what would be a future skill or a future work that we can start planning and training our people for? And I think AI is probably one of the areas. Today, we are fundamentally teaching our people in frontline excellence. So the frontline work may not just be in contact center. The frontline work could be in reception, could be in any form of customer fronting employment. Even simple things like if you have a condo, you have your service office, these are also your frontliners, things like that. So these are the areas that we are also evolving. And also we are, apart from contact center, we are also going into the training space. And we believe that more can be done in the area of providing certified training, where the curriculum can be contextualized and relevant even for corporate spaces. Yeah.
To add on to Joseph, what he shared, some time ago, there was this gentleman who was a taxi driver. He came to me and he says, he knows what I do. And he said, what can I do other than I have no business to give you? Then I asked him this question, what is your occupation? Say, I drive people, I'm a taxi driver, I ferry people from one point to another point. Well, you can come with what you have. And he said, what do you mean? I know of a family that struggles. In the morning, if you are open, maybe you can do a free pickup and send them to the school. And he came with what he have. you should come, and if you want to be part of Agape's spiritual journey, come with what you have so that you will give it out of your love. If you are a setup and they say that, hey, you run a beautiful, nice beauty parlor and you do makeup and say, hey, Agape, I want to do a half day thing, a 2 hours thing for all the ladies there to teach them how to do this. So you come with what you have is sustainable. You know, like I had a friend who came to me and said, hey, what can I do? I said, he buys fruits and all this. I said, well, send us some fruits. We'll give a healthy week for the staff, and they'll have a box of fruits that they can bring, apples, oranges, and grapes. So you see, come with where you are. I think that will be something that will be more meaningful for both parties.
Great.
Maybe to sum up what besides contact center, what we can do really is about human resource placement. It's about even things like CRM development, because we also have in-house developers to build the whole entire CRM. Even providing consultancy to customer experience mapping and journey, because both of us are into design thinking, and I think this whole human-centric approach to which you design a journey and identifying stakeholders, I think is also very critical for businesses right now, especially in the new normal of things. Yeah.
Okay, any other things to add, Anil?
No, I'm good.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you so much, Agape. Thank you, Anil. Thank you, Joseph, for taking time to do this webinar for us. I mean, it's very inspiring to listen from, you know, the man himself. I thank the audience as well for joining us today. So join us next week, where we'll be talking about investing in Vietnam, fintech opportunities in a dynamic emerging economy. So please fill up the survey form once you exit from this webinar. So I'd part to say thank you very much and have a good day and stay safe, keep well. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.